Welcome to the Health Not Prisons Collective Advocates Funding Project. We're going to be talking about how to fill out your application for this year. Next slide. On our agenda, we have an introduction to Health Not Prisons to familiarize you with what we're about, a project overview of the Health Not Prisons Advocates, our project timeline, and then the application process as a whole. Next slide. For those who may not know, my name is Kamaria Laffrey. I use she, her pronouns. I'm the co-managing director at Sarah Project. And with me, I have...
Hi, I'm Amanda Lay. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm the If, When, How Fellow at Positive Women's Network.
Awesome. So next slide. At the Health Not Prisons Collective, we are an intersectional national initiative launched in 2020, including the Counter Narrative Project, Positive Women's Network, Sarah Project, Transgender Law Center, and the U.S. Caucus of People Living with HIV, otherwise known as the HIV Caucus. We are longtime collaborators led by and accountable to communities most affected by HIV criminalization in the United States. Next slide. A little bit more about us as a collective. We include strategies that incorporate education and training, grassroots and grasstops organizing, policy analysis and advocacy, legal intervention, and narrative change designed to shift discourses about HIV, risk, blame, responsibility, and the role of the carceral state, including detention, centering racial and gender justice. You can read more about us at the link that's included at every slide of this presentation. Next slide. Some principles, well, 8 of the principles that Health Not Prisons holds is a commitment to community power and meaningful involvement of people living with HIV, a commitment to transforming balance of power, a commitment to vision and strategic practices of abolition and harm reduction, a commitment to racial justice, our commitment to bodily autonomy and reproductive justice, our commitment to disability justice, healing justice, and access, as well as our commitments to economic justice, narrative, and media justice. Next slide, please. We've been able to uphold these principles through spending a lot of time activating within the community. We spent the month of August last year educating different audiences on a wide range of topics relating to HIV criminalization, doing this through our Health Not Prisons Advocates Program. And on August 17th last year, we were able to host our first federal campaign, the Ready, Set, Repeal campaign, which helped us call on the U.S. Congress to pass the Repeal HIV Discrimination Act of 2022, otherwise known as HR 6111. Next slide. And these are just some examples of resources that we've offered to advocates through the HNP Advocates Program. We compiled a survey, which results will be coming out later this year. A national survey. The Counter Narrative Project has a newsletter called The Reckoning. We attend various state conferences and national conferences offering education on criminalization and trainings. Additionally, strategic planning process meetings. We gather at HIV's Not a Crime Training Academy and engage in communities by uplifting the Demanding Better HIV Federal Policy Agenda, which was written by the U.S. People Living with HIV Caucus. Next slide. So now we're going to discuss our Health Not Prisons Advocates Project. Next slide. So the HNP Advocates Project is designed to connect advocates that identify as Black, Indigenous, and/or people of color living with HIV to material resources and supporting them in order to successfully participate in state HIV decrim coalitions. We started this original HNP Advocates Project in 2021, focusing on Indiana, Louisiana, Mississippi, and Tennessee as our 4 priority states. Next slide. Oh. And we were able, I'm so sorry. And we were able to take into consideration states that are in the US South that present challenges to HIV decrim modernization, considerations around location in the EHE state or jurisdiction, and if there was support on the federal level with the Repeal Act. But we also had to be mindful of our organization capacity and consider what states did we already have a relationship with, the depth of that relationship, and most importantly, in that, where have we been centering and building power with BIPOC and trans people living with HIV? Next slide. So we're excited to continue our efforts in our original states of Louisiana, Mississippi, Tennessee, and Indiana. With generous support from funders and strategizing of our partners, we're able to expand and broaden our project to Texas, South Carolina, Virginia, and Pennsylvania. And now Amanda will share more about the program.
Thank you, Kamaria. Just 1 second. Okay, great. So I will go ahead and go over our program overview for the HNP Advocates Project in 2023. So over the course of 14 months, starting this year through 2024, June of 2024, 4 chosen advocates from Pennsylvania, South Carolina, Texas, and Virginia, 1 advocate per each of those states, will receive a stipend of $500 a month to participate in state decriminalization coalition work and monthly trainings provided by the HNP collective. They will also be connected with seasoned legislative advocates via bi-monthly coaching calls with HNP partners. They'll participate in a structured curriculum with regular learning opportunities, as mentioned, those monthly trainings, and receive financial support to cover the cost for advocates to attend a pre-selected conference that's chosen by the HNP collective. And that's also assuming the advocate meets the requirements of the COVID-19 travel guidelines, of course. So expectations of HNP advocates. So advocates will attend, as mentioned, those HNP skill building trainings that will happen monthly. And in June and August, there will be 2 trainings actually in those months, but every other month will be monthly. Every other training will be monthly. And so that's really to learn about intersectional HIV decriminalization and policy and advocacy in general. And so those trainings will start in May of this year, 2023. The advocate will also participate in regular coalition meetings, participate in HIV decriminalization activities within their state, participate in monthly advocate community calls, and complete a program capstone or practicum project that will be formed in consultation with your coalition. They will also maintain regular communication with their mentor or coach and the Advocates Project coordinator, just to support with anything that comes up, brainstorming, technical assistance. So those are the expectations of HNP advocates. And so a quick timeline at a glance. So in February 22nd, the HNP Advocates application will be launched. So folks will be able to review the application and submit it anytime before March 17th at 6 p.m. Eastern time. That will be the advocates application deadline. Soon after, we will invite folks, the HNP collective will review applications and invite select folks for interviews starting the week of April 10th. By late April, successful applicants will be notified, and then we'll go ahead and start the launch of the program with orientation happening May 10th and May 12th. And then monthly trainings, participation in state coalition meetings, any state HIV decrim activities and monthly HNP Advocates call will occur from June 2023 to June 2024. And during the spring and summer of 2024, HNP advocates towards the tail end of their year will present on their practicum, their learnings, and next steps. So in addition to the monthly state HIV coalition meetings and mentor calls, HNP advocates will participate in a program schedule. And so here's the overview of that program schedule. So in May, we have the orientation meetings. So that will first start with a welcome webinar on May 10th and a cohort meeting on May 12th. In June, the monthly advocate community calls will start, as well as those program trainings. So June will have 2 program trainings, as well as August. August will also have 2 program trainings. Every other month, we will have a monthly program training. In December, we will not have a program training, but instead a mid-year celebration. And then in June, we'll have an end-of-year celebration. And so this is just an overview of the timeline and what you can expect as an advocate. And so I'm going to go over quickly how to apply. So you'll be able to find the application through the bit.ly here. So feel free to use your phones to access the application by scanning the QR code here, as well as the website at the bottom. The HNP Collective website will have the application and program description for you to review the description and apply. So a quick overview of the application. So once you follow the link to the application, you'll see a description of the project, including the states in which we're recruiting advocates. Again, that's Pennsylvania, South Carolina, Texas, and Virginia. And so we'll be selecting and looking for one advocate for each of those who lives in each of those states, for a total of 4 advocates. You'll see the application deadline. And then the first section will be asking you demographic information. So just the basics of your first and last name, your contact information, what state you live in, and other demographic information. The application will then have a second section, which will ask you if you have experience working in a state coalition. Working in a state coalition is not required. You do not need to have any experience working in a state coalition. However, if you do, and if you would like to share more about that experience, this is the section where you can input that information. And then this is going to be the very important part of the application in terms of the questions that we'll be asking you. So we just want to learn more about you. The goal of these questions is to get to know you and why you want to participate in the project. You don't have to be a seasoned advocate. More so, we are just looking for folks who are committed to getting involved in advocating on HIV decriminalization within your state. So these questions are just to ask you to tell us more about yourself, why you are committed to working towards HIV decriminalization, why you're interested in getting involved in a HIV decriminalization coalition, why you want to be part of this project and program, and how your participation in this project will advance your professional or advocacy goals, especially how that will advance the goals of your community. So please, in this section, provide a brief 3 to 5 sentence answer. It doesn't have to be too long. We just want to get to know you more. And then we also have one part of the application in which we ask applicants to choose one of the following questions and provide a brief answer. And this is just to learn more about the framework and lens in which you will bring to your advocacy work. So one of these questions is all that is required. So feel free to choose one that you are most interested, passionate about answering. And lastly, the very end of the application will ask you to indicate your first and last name to agree that you've reviewed the program description and that you understand the expectations of the program by applying. And so we'll ask folks to check each of the boxes here of what the expectations of the program are before submitting the application officially. And then I'll go ahead and hand it over to Kamaria.
Yes, thank you, Amanda. So just a reminder, you can go to the QR code or the link at the bottom of the slides to find the application. And some other tips are to, when you get to the application, to either download it or you can print the application instructions and have them available as you complete your online application. Also, it's helpful to type out your answers to those questions, especially the essay one, in a Word document, and then copy paste your responses back into the online form. Please, we ask you to read through those essay questions thoughtfully, choose the one that you feel most passionate, interested, and strongly about, as Amanda said. These will convey your interest in the program. Also, we advise you to make sure you have a secure and strong internet connection when copy pasting your responses, and plan to complete your online application in one sitting because there's not a save option. Also, using bullet points in some of your answer will help keep it brief but still detailed. Next slide. Also, a reminder to best help you prepare and keep up with what's next in this process. Save these dates in your calendar. So your deadline is March 17th. And once the application process closes and HNP Collective members look over things, we'll start recruiting for interviews. And if you're invited, that'll be during the week of April 10th through 14th. And if once selected, those announcements will come out in late April. And then mandatory orientations that you can lock into your calendar now are May 10th at 3 o'clock Eastern and May 12th at 3 o'clock Eastern. Next slide. So we wish you the best of luck. If you have any questions or concerns throughout the process, you can reach out to any of these individuals on your side. Myself, Kevin, and Tammy are also with the Sarah Project and also serve as TA with Deidre, and then of course, Amanda. So best of luck to you all.